Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before we get into with our guest here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Ariana Pesce. Yes, she is related to Joe Pesci, everyone. No, I'm just kidding. I wanted to, dispel that really quickly. I mean, it's spelled different, but it's said the same. So I had to get that dig in there right out and early. But yeah, she's coming to us from the East Coast, and she's a bikini champ in the Masters division. And yeah, she's on here to just share her health and fitness journey and just discuss all things health and fitness. But most importantly, she's our current guest. Ariana, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so excited. It's just an honor to be part of your podcast. I'm super psyched.
I appreciate that. And so to get things started, a question that I ask everyone, why don't you just give us your backstory on what inspired and motivated you to get in shape and how that led to where you're at right now?
Okay, so I've been in fitness probably since 2006. I really enjoyed. I taught a lot of. Oh, I still do teach a lot of group classes. Really love motivating others. It just kind of satisfies that need for me of I always kind of wanted to be a teacher and a performer, and I just loved all of it. And I went to school for singing, so that performing aspect was definitely a part of my life. And then during COVID, I got a little out of shape, and my friends were like, and also not doing as many classes because the gyms were closed, etc. So I was doing lives on Instagram and trying to keep, my following, fit and at home at least. And then it wound up that one of my girlfriends was doing a bikini show, and she's like, Ari, you should do one. And I said, all right. I was turning 40, so it was kind of like a little nudge into getting back in shape, and I fell in love with bodybuilding, and it kind of satisfies that performance aspect. And now I'm just addicted. Now I just want to keep going. So I'm super excited about the changes. I'm a natural athlete, so NPC is coming out with a lot of natural shows, announcing some new stuff. So it's pretty cool to be a part of the sport right now.
What was one thing about the sport of bodybuilding that shocked you when you were getting into it? Because so many people just don't have that much knowledge about it. When they really get into it, there's things about it that they're just like, wow, I would have never expected that.
So honestly, I think the biggest shock for me was how many peds are involved with women's bodybuilding, and at the lower levels of bikini. I'm not saying bikini is a lower level, but more of like the ease. I'm not saying easier either because that's hard
The
to
less
say too. But like
muscular divisions.
less muscular divisions, they're still doing the peds, and I think that surprised me. I mean, it was really funny. I remember training, and a girl was like, "Oh, what are you on?" And I'm like, "Creatine." Like, what are you talking about? And she's like, "Oh, really? That's it?" And I'm like, "No, yeah, seriously, I have no idea what you're talking about." Like, I felt like so naive because I had no clue how involved it was. And even in the men's divisions, I really didn't understand it as much. And now that I'm a fan of bodybuilding and I follow it so to a T to just improve my own level of sport, I follow every division now, and I'm really a big fan of it now. So now it's just like, oh wow, it is a part of it. So that's kind of the biggest surprise, I think, for me.
What was your friends and family's reaction like when you announced them, like, hey, I want to give this sport a try?
Well, my husband was like, this is great. Do it, go for it. He thought it was going to be a one-time thing, to be honest with you. I don't know if he really is into the fact that I keep wanting to do it. And again, it's so addicting. I think that a lot of people will agree with me that once you get the bug and you enjoy it and it's fun and I don't know. I love the drive to make my body different. Every single time I go into the gym and I see something else new, I get psyched. So my family doesn't care about this part when I'm in the off season, but like when I'm on a prep, I have two kids. I have my husband. They're like, oh, like she's no fun.
Everyone leave mom alone for the next couple of months.
Exactly. They don't really love, my house smells like tilapia. They don't love that I'm not, it's not like I'm boring, but I'm just less me, and they kind of they're not a huge fan. But they do love the day of the show. They love seeing me up there. They're very proud of me. So it's pretty cool. And honestly, my daughter is just like, wow, I can't believe that you do this. So it's that aspect of it is definitely cool.
What is that?
Teenage son, not so much.
Oh, yeah. Good
Kidding.
God, that poor kid.
I honestly feel bad for him all the time. He literally will be like, "Yo," he'll say my my Instagram handle, and I'm like, "Oh, is this somebody pick on you today?" I'm like, "Yeah, oops, it's not right."
Poor kid. No, and that's a familiar thing that we have heard. But what is it like just to see your body just transform throughout the preps and
Oh,
just it just must be something that's really cool but weird at the same time to see how much you can transform.
yeah, so there's two things that I kind of, and I tell this to a lot of my friends and people that are getting into the sport is, when you do a shred and when you see how shredded and muscular you could get, you have to, in your brain, you really have to have the mental capacity to know that this is not a normal look. And I think that that's where a lot of women struggle. They'll be like, "Oh my god, I look so good at this shredded, this cut." And really, it's not a healthy look. That's only for a show. So when they come off of it, I think a lot of women fall off and don't really understand the reverse and the you got to gain that 10 to 15 pounds back to be healthy and to be sustainable. And all the hard work that you do, you can't get rid of it so fast because it's so cool that you did that work and it doesn't go away. Like my muscle memory now and my muscle maturity is so different. I was telling my girlfriend the other day, I was like, I cannot believe I'm 123 pounds. And my bulk last time I did it before I did my last prep was 126. And my body is so different. Like if I do pictures side by side, I'm like, holy crap, it's like completely different. My muscles are much bigger. And every time I do another year of this, it's just so cool to see where I could take it. It's like molding clay. It's like a sculpture. And I think that's why I found the love of it. And I find the love of it with every single category. I think it's beautiful how these athletes can change their bodies and like make their bodies different. I think it's fascinating. It really is.
When you were getting started, everyone always has that one area of their physique that really takes off that they don't have to train as much, and then everyone has that one body part that they just have to drag into oblivion. What's the one body part that really took off, and what's the one body part that you just still to this day you're like, I gotta put this into overdrive?
Oh, it's and all my everyone will say my shoulders are insane. I was blessed with genetics. My shoulders are crazy good. My legs and my thighs for bikini, my hammy tie-in is a struggle. Like I literally have to really work hard on it, and that's really where my main goal for this next season is really striving to get my glute hammy tie-in to professional bikini level. I want to be on that stage. I want to be undeniable. So we're really pushing that lower body because I really just I always was very not I don't want to say heavy down there. I was just never like cut down there. I was always very shredded up top and very like I have to be so low weight to get the hammy tie-in. And I think that the main focus with my new coach is to make sure that we're kind of in that middle ground and building that muscle density before I cut down again. Because again, natural, I lose a lot of my density because I'm natural. So when I do cut down, I really got to make sure I have that muscle behind me, to support it.
Do you ever get tempted at all knowing that like the vast majority of people aren't natural? Or is it still one of those things where you're just like, no, I just want to be natural doing this?
Yeah, so again, I don't really I have no qualms against other people using, they do what they need to do. Like it's a decision, and I've been offered and I just am like, not my thing. And again, I think I attested to my children. I don't really want to look at my daughter and be like, I, I use something to make this body. I would prefer to say to her, yeah, I built this body. I'm very proud of this. I did it all by myself. I didn't use any help. That's kind of my stubbornness. Like it's like this mental stubbornness, like that I just am like, oh no, I'm not doing it. And I don't think, and I think that's just how I am. I'm 42. I'm nervous about longevity. I don't want to have any health issues. I have blood pressure issues already, which is surprising. So I don't really want to mess that up in any way. So, yeah, I just like to do it as healthy as possible. And again, I feel like I'm so stubborn and I just want to, and again, natural, I want to just look and see what my body can do. And I think I've said this before in a previous discussion, like I think a lot of people go on steroids way too early before they see the natural progression of what their body could do. And I think if you really work hard in the gym, like I have a lot of like clients that'll be like, "Oh, I really work hard and I really eat well." And I'm like, "Yeah, I've seen you in the gym and I've seen your menu. You don't necessarily do that." So,
I mean, I tell so many people it's like before you even consider reach your genetic potential first off. Don't
yeah.
so many people they just do 1 year and then they decide to go on it and it's again like you, I don't care if anyone does. The only problems I ever have with it are if people who promote themselves and say like you can look just like me if you follow my workout program. It's like, dude, you have veins on top of your veins. Like let's be,
Mhm.
totally honest here. But no, it's a tricky subject too, especially with how widespread it is in the sport where it's all about finding that balance. But is there a certain lift that you have in the gym that like you're the most proud of? Like if you were to die tomorrow and you wanted to have it engraved on your tombstone, like she did this for this, was there any lift that like you're like, okay, people need to know?
Oh, I think I shoulder pressed some. I think it was like 90s, which was pretty
What?
cool. Like standing. I did 90s. I was like, oh, this is crazy.
Do you have video of this? Because then I'll publish it while you're talking about it right now.
So I thought that was pretty cool. I could hip thrust pretty heavy, but I've seen girls hip thrust more than me. But for me, like 3 plates on each side, I was super excited about that. I deadlifted recently, 230. So yeah, certain things I'm pretty proud of. But I'm not really an ego lifter necessarily. I'm more of a conditioning lifter. So I wish I could squat. Like I feel like I see girls. I have a girl at my gym. She's a pro, and she's like insane. She's squatting like 3 plates and a quarter and lunges 3 plates and a quarter. And I'm like, holy shit, it's insane.
No, it's crazy. And I mean, yeah. So you did mention your shoulders, and I wasn't even going to ask you about this because I showed your stuff to my fiance, and she goes, "Yeah, ask her about her shoulders." She asks about everyone's shoulders for some. She has a big shoulder thing. She loves shoulders. So, what do you train for shoulders?
Okay, so again, I my new coach pulled me back. Because I think he wants my shoulders to relax a little bit, but I do find, and then women don't do this, and I really think that best way to build shoulders is to lift as heavy as possible and progressive overload 1000%. I think a lot of women are like, oh, and they stop at a certain point, and I think that they don't use the machines that could help them build up, build it. I can't talk today. Build up that I guess the muscle in that the level of muscle that they could do. So like I actually have a standing shoulder press that I really love, and that's where I got the 90s up. Military press I could do pretty heavy, but like with dumbbells, I feel like I can't get that heavy. I could unless I have a spot, So I could probably do 45s with a spot or 50s with a spot where I could, if I'm doing like maybe a machine, I could do a lot heavier than that. So I think a lot of women don't go heavy enough on shoulders, and same thing with any part of their arm. I think they do chill too much on it, and I again like the lat raises. Everybody can't really do those. Like that's just like bottom line. Nobody really can do those. But I think if you keep progressively doing it, progressive overload, just keep going heavy, you're going to get the shoulders that you want. And it just takes time. And I think a lot of people, like you said, are just in a rush. And this took a lot of time. Like my shoulders were not where they were 2 years ago that they are now. And every year they get better. So it's just like you got to just keep trucking and just keep going crazy.
Well, and I always tell people too, it's like you got to train more than once a week if they really are
Oh,
lagging behind. You got to train more than once a
twice
week.
a week at least. And honestly, like I find that I do a set when I was building them. I would do like a whole superset of dumbbells with everything. Then I would do a superset of machines, and then I would do a superset of cables. And that was my shoulder and tricep day. And I would just do like quickly in and out, just different exercises. And I actually think I posted my whole shoulder workout. And I said, if you do this and you just keep going heavy on weight, you're going to build your shoulders. There's no way. So, but again, genetically, a lot of people sometimes can't get there, and that's why I think, they're trying to bring in this new category for women too. So that's kind of where their mindset is there.
What's it like seeing the people's reaction, especially as you get close to a show and get super lean and like vascular? What's that like just seeing everyone? Because you sort of become like a mini celebrity where people are just going to be, when they see
Yeah.
something that's not the normal, how do you deal with that? Do you enjoy it? Or is it one of those things where you're like, okay, this is weird?
No, so again, this is that you have to have a good mindset because that also does come into play where it kind of messes with people's heads. Because if everyone's telling you, "Oh my God, you look so good," and you're really skinny and you're really small and you're really vascular and you're really shredded. So in your head, you're like, oh my God, do I not look good? all the rest of the time that I and when I'm not shredded like this. So you really have to be like, holy moly, like your brain has to be on overdrive. So I know I absolutely enjoy it because I worked hard to get there, and I'm probably starving at the time and exhausted. So I love it. I'm like, yeah, thank you. This is great. When I'm in the supermarket and I'm like, people are looking at me like I'm an alien. That's a whole different story. Like I had a guy um and even a girl like just randomly come up to me in the supermarket. They're like, "Oh my god, are you a bodybuilder?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Like, I'm just like, and you kind of feel like, "Yeah, cool."
That's when you say, "No, I've never lifted a weight in my entire life."
I say that all the time. I'm like, "Yeah, no, I definitely never went to the gym." No, but I get that comment a lot. Like, especially if I wear like a tank top, that people will be like, "Oh, like, what do you do?" I don't do anything. I just sit in my house.
And I mean, when you're on that stage, what is that feeling like for you when you finally get to show off, all the hard work that you've worked months upon months on?
Well, again, that performer in me, I was a singer, so like I was missing that in my life. So this kind of satisfies it again. So that is my favorite day. I love the glam. I love walking on stage. I love performing. I turn it on and I'm obsessed. I'm obsessed with that part of it. If I could do that without the diet and everything, I'd be set. No, that's my favorite part. I love it. I know some girls don't really love that part or they get nervous. I'm never nervous. I just think it's the most fun. The only time it gets a little nerve wracking is when you're on stage with the other girls and they're literally looking at every single thing and comparing you, and you're like, oh. And then when you don't get the results that you want, you're just standing there and you have to smile. You're like, oh, cool. I suck. I'm just gonna
My
stand here.
entire dreams are crushed, but let's keep smiling. Yeah.
It's exactly what happened. So I was at nationals. It was my first national show, and I got 11th out of 20 girls, and my class was pretty stacked, and they were incredible athletes. I It's amazing. Like the 40-year-olds, even the 60-year-olds, I was like, holy mackerel! Like they're so great. So I'm standing on stage and I'm just like smiling, and I'm not in the first call outs, and I'm down the corner, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so bad. And I had to keep smiling, and then finally they called us out, but I got to be center. I never moved. I stayed in 11th, so I was center the whole time in second call outs, and I was like, okay, I feel better. Like, at least I'm not to like, poo poo on the other girls, but at least I'm not dead last. At least I'm like in the middle. But it really does, because again, like these girls, some of them were on peds, and like you just really have to be like, I held my own as a natural, and that's why we're doing the natural shows in 25. We're gonna do, because they're coming out a bunch. I'm doing Ohio. The plan is Ohio, and the plan is Pittsburgh Power. So I'm super excited about those.
Well, and one of the things that isn't talked about as much as it should be, that I think is one of the hardest things, is posing, because most people don't understand that for a lot of the competitors, that is the hardest thing for them. What is your relationship like with posing?
So, I give people so much advice about posing because I think the biggest problem with girls is they look at the mirror and they focus, or their phone, looking like we're looking at like ourselves. The best way I think that people should, obviously get a posing coach if you could afford one, a good one, a good one, and but also like record yourself without you seeing yourself, with the back camera, and that way you could see your mistakes, and you're not, because you're not going to have a mirror and you're not going to have anything you could look at when you're on that stage. It's just you and the lights and the judges right in front of you, and you just have to really focus. And I think that little things like timing and not just smiling. A lot of girls don't even smile on stage, and like just take your time and just really try to focus on the front and the back pose and not make it overly complicated. But my biggest mistake, which I didn't even realize, um when I was is the comparisons. I think that a lot of people don't put enough weight on the comparisons. That's the most important thing. And when I was at nationals, they brought us out. They always bring you out first, like in a line, and then they kind of like look at you first, and then they do your individuals, and then you come back out. On that first lineup, I was all the way at the end, and I kind of like didn't shift toward the judges. So the whole time they're kind of seeing the side of me, and I'm just like, maybe that effed me up, like, and a lot of my friends said they probably did. Like, I didn't focus myself in it. But again, it's an experience. And every time you go to a show, you learn more. So I think that the biggest focus with posing is to just really have confidence, take your time, practice your transition poses with your like pretend other people are in a line with you. Like actually do that and move around and holding yourself in a position because you actually stand there for quite a while where you have to suck in your stomach and hold yourself. And actually time yourself. Be like, all right, I'm going to time myself for 3 minutes standing in the front pose. I'm going to time myself 3 minutes standing in the back pose. Because it's really, that's the most important thing. And people don't realize it. Walking to the back, huge. Like your walk, your bikini walk is huge. And they don't put enough weight on it. So that's my really, you got to focus on that stuff.
Well, and I mean, even though you were a performer, it still takes a lot of courage to step on stage in a bikini. Did you struggle with that at all, or were you at the point where you're like, I look so good, I don't care?
Yeah, I'm obnoxious. I love attention. I was like, let's go. I'm ready to go. My family, not so much. Like they're like, this is horrible. Like, what are you wearing? No, no, I love the bikini. I love all of it. I love the shoes. That's my favorite part. That's my favorite part. That's what makes it fun for me. But again, I'd rather be in the gym busting my butt. But it's like a reward to like get on stage. Absolutely.
Well, I mean, post-show blues are a huge thing that I think needs to be talked about more as well because a lot of people don't understand, you're not going to maintain that look for forever. It's going to go away for a lot of people really quickly, especially if you're a natural athlete. What is that like and how do you deal with that mentally, like, realizing that like, hey, I'm going to look like this for only a few days and then I'm going to have to put weight back on. First of all, it's unhealthy if I were to maintain that look for a long period
Yeah.
of time. Second of all, it's part of the growing process.
Yeah. And again, a lot of girls, especially first time competitors, they really struggle with this and they binge eat and they get crazy and me personally, and I don't know what it is, I've always ate similar to a prep food. Like I've always ate 5 meals a day. I still eat 5 meals a day off season. Like I'm never a binger. I was never really I know I don't really care about food that I'm like obsessed with food. I like food, but it's not like a part of my life where I need to eat specific things all the time. So I think that those 2 days after you do a show, you eat whatever you were craving and then you lock it down. Like you say, okay, Monday I'm going to start back up to my reverse. I'm going to put my reverse back in and get going. But it post show blues do exist. Like not getting that attention of, oh my God, you look so good. That comment all the time. Not, but if you're around the right people, they're going to see that you're healthier, and you really got to control that. You can't, again, the binge eating, all that stuff, you could put that weight on so fast, but you have to, gradually do it. And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, I'm 15 pounds up. So right now I think I want to say I'm 15 pounds above show weight, which is great. And then if a lot of people bulk up. Right now, I'm kind of doing a lean bulk, and it's necessary. It's absolutely necessary to grow muscle to get a little weight on you. But my biggest advice for anybody who's after a show is you have to have a plan is set before the show is over. You have to actually be like, okay, X, Y, I'm gonna eat this, and this, and then Monday is game on my reverse. And after 6 weeks of that, I'm gonna go on this, and after 6 weeks from that, I'm gonna do this, and have that expectation in your head. And don't buy the food. Don't have it in your house because you'll eat it.
Well, and how has this journey
So
affected you mentally as well? Because most people just notice the physical changes and they'll say, like Ariana, you look amazing, but they don't understand what has taken place mentally and internally is, vastly more important than any of the physical changes.
I find that the mental changes for me are more than the physical change. Like I feel like I focus on health so much more now. I don't want to drink as much as I like, not that I was an alcoholic or anything, but it's like I don't want to like go out and drink every night until I'm drunk. I don't want
That's
to
called a
party
Long
all
Island
night.
Monday.
Exactly. I don't want to do a Long Island Mondays anymore. I don't want to like I was drinking like a glass of like for COVID, I was drinking a glass of wine every night. Like just stupid little things like that. Like I just don't want to anymore. Like I value my time more. Like so when you're on a prep, you really can't hang out as much, I guess, but people don't people like focus on having food being the center of something like, oh, we're only going out to dinner. We're only going to why can't we go mini golfing? Why can't we go axe throwing? Why can't we do this? Like, why can't we do a hike? Like, let's go to a spa. Like, why does it always have to be food? So I think that like I kind of grew new hobbies, grew new interests, found new friends that like kind of get it. Like, it's definitely a mind change, a structure change, and it definitely for me, it's been totally beneficial to have this lifestyle. Absolutely, it makes me a lot more happy in general. So,
Well, when it comes to finding a coach, what do you think makes a coach a good coach?
oh, this is a loaded topic for me. I
Take as much time as you want.
love it. So I'm so against. Sometimes there's such bad coaches in this industry that it just makes me so aggravated to see it. Like, because I will see girls get these coaches that barely did one show or barely know what they're doing, and they're putting girls on stage and they're not ready and they look like crazy and they look bad, and they don't really prepare them for anything, and those girls are the ones that binge. Those are the girls that have a bad time after and never come back to the sport, and it's so depressing to me. I think that for my advice for people to pick coaching is you really, really, really got to do your research. You got to talk to their athletes. You got to go on their pages, go on their Instagrams. You could find every single athlete that they worked with and just DM them. Be like, hey, I see you worked with this dude. Like, how's he? Like, is he attentive? Like, does he write you back? Because that's huge too. Like, if you have a coach that's not communicating with you, it's horrible. Like, I had a girl that I was friends with that we were at a show, same show together, and she never the coach never checked in with her, and she was like on her own all day until like nighttime, and I was like, that's insane. Like, how is she your coach? Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. And that was something I had to deal with this year. I had a great coach and she's awesome. She did 2 seasons with me, but I picked shows that just we weren't meshing. Um, and it was time for me to move on. And it wasn't like I was we have bad blood. She's still a really good friend of mine. She did amazing with me, but I had to make a decision. Like, I want to go pro, and I want to do my ultimate goal is to go to the Masters Olympia one day. Like, I would absolutely love that. So I needed to find a coach that would be in line with that. And I saw, I did my research again. I'm a huge fan of bodybuilding, so I follow all these people and I see their athletes, and like, there's teams, there's individual people, there's so you just got to find the person that meshes with you. And sometimes, you just got to do a season with them and maybe it still doesn't mesh, but again, you got to respect those people too. I absolutely hate the other end of it is like people that drop their coach, and the coach doesn't even know. Like, they'll find out later online. Like just break up with them easily. It's like it's not that serious.
I have heard times where that's happened, and that's just, I mean, what a way
Yeah.
to find out that you've been fired then by just like looking on someone's social media and being like, oh, okay, I guess
I
that's how
guess
that
they're
went.
not my athlete anymore. Cool. Okay.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, I do think I said buyer beware. Like, do your research, make sure that they know what they're doing. Like, some half of these coaches like literally take other people's plans and sell it like their own, which is absolutely insane too. So you just got to be careful and just smart.
Do you ever look back at maybe some of your old photos and just appreciate the journey that you've made and like how much different you look and what you've been able to construct?
Oh, I do it all the time. I'm like, I actually post a lot of it too. Like, my changes even from 6 months ago are different. I'm very proud of it. I love it. I want people to see that they could do this too. And even on a small degree, you don't even have to go and be a competitor. You could just, do your before and afters. I tell even my lifestyle clients, I'm like, you have to take pictures because the scale is bullshit. Because again, like I told you before, like I was 126 in a bulk, and my bulk looks so different than it does now. And it's only 3 pounds. It's only 3 pounds away from last year, and my muscles are completely different. If I didn't take pictures of myself and rely just on the scale, I'd be like, oh, I guess I look the same. I absolutely do not. So I tell girls all the time, like, and guys, I'm like, take pictures. And 3 months from now, take the same picture and you'll see the difference and you'll see the progress that you made. And half the time they're like, oh my God. Like, I had a client yesterday send me her pictures and she's like, I look like crap. And I said, hold up, got her pictures from 2 months ago, and her butt's lifted, she has a shredded back, her shoulders are better. I'm like, are you seeing what I'm seeing? And she's like, oh my God. I'm like, see, this is why you take pictures because you don't really see it. You're like your own brain. You're like just looking at yourself in the mirror and you're not getting it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, this the mental mind games that go on when you become a bodybuilder. You just sign a deal with the
It's
devil, basically, where it's like, I'm never going to be satisfied. I'm never going to be good
yeah.
enough. How do you deal with that aspect of it?
Well, it's body dysmorphia for life. So it's just plain and simple. Like you literally pick, and you're in a sport where they're picking your body apart. So you're going to pick your own body apart. So you just got to be really. It's such a mental thing. People don't get how mentally stable you need to be. It's such a mental sport that you really just have to be like, all right, I'm expecting this. I know what I need to do. Like, and I know this is something that I need to be a little heavier. I need to be a little lighter. I'm going to get more attention when I'm lighter. So you really got to navigate that and just be really conscientious of your mental state and just make sure you're always positive about your body because it's all in all, you're looking amazing. I tell girls all the time, my friends that like compete, they're like, "Oh, I'm puffy. I look like crap." I'm like, go to any supermarket or amusement park, and then you'll feel better. Like you look better than 99% of the population. You're fine. Don't worry about it.
Well, and I mean, just you're a mom, you work, you're a bodybuilder. Two of those three things are enough to drive one person crazy. How do you manage to pull off all three?
And I work in gyms too. I'm a psychopath.
Yep.
I don't know. Like people ask me that all the
How's
time.
your time management? Like, how are you able to even pull that off?
I don't know. I wake up super early to work out. Like I'm like 4 o'clock in the morning. I wake up. I'm in the gym by 6 or 5, and I work out in the morning. And I tell busy moms, that say to me all the time, "Oh my God, I don't have enough time. I don't have enough time to do that. I don't have enough time to exercise. I don't have time to do this." Everyone has 45 minutes in their day. Whether you split it, whether you have it consecutively, you have 45 minutes and that's all you need in a day. And when they ask me, they're like, "How many days a week do you work out?" I work out 4 days a week. 4 days a week. That's not a lot. And it's not something that, and it's not a long time. It's like 45 minutes or an hour because I go in the morning or whatever. But if I had to split it up, it would be say 15 minutes, 15 minutes. I tell people all the time, like spread it throughout the day, and then you're done. And it's only 4 days a week. It's not, you're on your phone, you're doing something else stupid that you could, replace with an exercise. It's not difficult. And also meal prepping is huge. And that's half the battle, if not all of the battle half the time. That food is such a thing that I cannot believe that people overcomplicate it when it's very simple. Just make your food, pull it out, eat it. That's it. And it's simple and it's boring as hell, but it works. And honestly, you'll look amazing if you do it.
What's your relationship like with cardio?
So, so my cardio, it's so funny, and I'm very curious because again, I got a new coach, and I don't really know how we're going to be navigating the cardio because my last prep, I only had 15 minutes to cardio at the end, and my girlfriends were doing 2 hours of cardio. So but again, it's my body versus their body. Everyone's different with cardio. So I have 2 classes a week where I have to do cardio. So I have 2 spin classes that I instruct. So that's a lot of cardio for me. And again, I'm very active. My job is active. Like I have a full-time job as well. So I'm never not moving around. And that is like a big thing. And then I have my classes or what have you. So I have 2 classes where it's cardio. So a lot of the time my coaches have to kind of be like, "Oh shit, like that's a lot of cardio. We might not be able to do it." So my preps, it's usually in the mornings that I do my cardio, whatever that timing is. And so it's just waking up earlier, and it sucks, but it is what it is. Just got to do it. It's part of it. So, and for other people, I tell everybody cardio is not going to get you lean. It's really the bodybuilding and the food that's going to get you lean. It's cardio. Standing on a treadmill for hours upon hours is not going to do anything.
I mean, unless you're a marathon runner, yeah, that's about
Unless
the
you're
only case. Yeah,
unless
exactly.
you're in exactly, unless that's your goal. I have a client that's going to run a marathon, and that's part of her
Okay, that's a
program.
level of psychopathy that I don't even want to touch.
she's
Marathon runners, Jesus.
she's doing tries too, like the swimming, and then like, if anything, I yell at her because she's
Ask
getting
her
too
what went
skinny
wrong in her
because like
life that she decided to do
she
that.
needs to eat more for the marathon that she's doing. You know?
Yeah, you got to ask her what went wrong in her life that she decided to do this. Like, we got to find the root cause. No, because I had friends that would run that too, and then I made a sign one year when they finished on the finish line, and the sign said, "You didn't have to do this." Like, that's the like.
But it's the same as bodybuilders
I
though. We
know,
all have that little crazy in our head. It's like the
I know,
same
but there's
thing.
a difference between going on stage and posing, and when you're dieted down, then running 26.2 miles. That's we can all agree that because that running is. I'm sorry, running is the most boring thing ever. Unless I mean, even if you have good music or you're listening to something cool, it can still be incredibly boring. So, I mean, a lot of them find ways to stay motivated and stay into it, and more power to them. But it's just like you got to look at them too and just be like, man, that's a level of dedication that's scary yet impressive.
That's if put it this way, if you see me running, somebody's running after me. That's the only time
Yep.
I'm running unless somebody makes me. So I definitely give them a lot of credit because it's a totally different type of sport. Like it's not like bodybuilding. It's definitely something I'm not would not want to do, but they love it. It's like that runner's high, that like, and it's probably the same euphoric feeling that you feel when you're on stage. It's most likely the same.
Well, I mean,
Proud moments.
the fit model division just got announced. What are your thoughts and opinions on that?
I have a mixed feeling about it. I love it in a sense of a business decision. I think that it's very smart of them to do it, to bring more people into the sport, to make bodybuilding accessible, to make more women interested. I think they're going to come out in a men's division. If I could guess, I bet you money
That'll be
on it.
interesting to see. I want to see what that looks like. Jeez.
It will look like Brad Pitt with abs. It will absolutely happen. I know that it's going to happen. There's no way it's not. But I think that they're putting a band-aid on the issue at hand, which is all these categories, even in the men's divisions, have gotten a little too muscular for their category. Um, and they just went a little crazy with it. And I think instead of pulling back on the muscularity, they're adding these two categories to bring back the people that are like, oh, I can never be that way. But it's not true. Like you can. I'm a natural athlete. And I could be what I want to be. But I see the other side because I do have friends of mine that struggle. They struggle with the shoulders. They struggle with the hammies. They struggle with the genetics of it. So I see the benefit of it. I personally hope and wish that they would pull back on the muscularity of every category, and then you'll still have the same outcome. I think. I really don't love that. It seems like to me, it seems like the criteria for fit models not that hard to obtain, and that they're going to get a pro card for it. I don't really love that either. I would prefer if they maybe got a modeling contract or free coaching for a year, or because they're trying to say it's entry level. If it's entry level, you shouldn't have a pro card. It should stay like a novice situation. In my opinion, this is again my opinion.
I agree with this, by the way, too.
So I just feel like it should not have a pro card. I feel like it should be your stepping stone into the other categories. I think because they can't pull back on the standard of bikini, I think that eventually you're going to see these two categories mesh. And it might take 5 years or whatever, but I think that these two categories, because eventually fit model is going to grow up muscular wise. I'm hoping they don't make bikini get higher because then I'm screwed. I'm never going to get there. But like I'm hoping with the naturals, bikini gets a little smaller, and then they meet in the middle, and there's that natural bikini body that is attainable. I personally think bikini is attainable naturally. But again, that's my naivety. That's my being naive.
Naivety. Yeah, no,
Is it?
we know
Is that the
what you're
word?
saying. We know what you're saying.
I'm like, is that a word, or did I make up one?
No, it's a
Um,
naivety. I think I don't even know how to
naivety.
pronounce it myself.
I don't know. Is that
I'm
what?
not dumb enough to try to pronounce it on a podcast. No, I'm joking.
Is that just me being naive again? Probably. But I do want to see less bikini muscle and more bikini muscle and fit body and fit model, and then maybe like a little mesh. But I have a feeling that's going to happen anyway. I just think that they can't pull back bikini enough yet. So,
I mean,
but
let's be completely honest. Fit model is what bikini was 10 years ago. Like
it is.
it's the same
That's
thing.
what it was, and it's the same thing. And I feel like they just are trying to fix a problem that they. But honestly, every women category and every male category has the same problem. It's just too much, and they need to pull every. But they need to just dial it back a little bit. Not extreme like fit model, but like just in the kind of the middle of it. Like just get a little bit less muscular. But even like the figure. I love figure. I wish I could do figure. Oh my god, I would love to do
You got
figure.
the shoulders for it, I will say,
I
but you
have
gotta
the
bring up
shoulders
everything
for it.
else, yeah.
I could probably kick some ass with figure, but I can never do figure pro. It's too big. I could never get that level of muscularity, but I could get the level of figure maybe 5 or 6 years ago. That would be cool, if they brought back like a fit model version of figure. But I feel like the bikini models, bikini models, I'm mixing up categories now. The bikini girls of today look like the figure girls of 10 years ago. So you're really kind of like they've shifted so much into like weird, and even the figure models, the figure model. I keep saying models.
They're
Jesus,
models, basically, we get what you're saying.
the figure girls look like physique back 10 years ago. Like, so we're kind of like going like this. And so I feel like Fit Model is going to be like that too eventually. It's just going to all mesh together. But the goal is right now, and I think that what they're trying to do is have more girls interested and have an avenue into going into naturals, and then get the bug like most of us do and go, oh, I'm going to push myself and be bikini now. And I'm going to do bikini naturals, So that's my hope. That's what I hope happens. But I don't think it should have pro card. And I'll say that all day long.
Everyone, we're recording this a few days before Christmas, so of course we're gonna, just be brain farts out the butt, everyone, because it's, we're everyone's already tired. I mean, it's getting to that point where you just want the year to be over with and you're just dragging along. So no, and that's yeah. I'm at that point, right now. But if there was one thing that you could change about said bodybuilding, and like they gave you the power and they said you could change one thing about the sport and everyone would go along with it, would be the one thing you'd like to see changed?
I would love to see muscularity being a little bit less in every category. That's it. And just be a little bit more attainable for everybody and not have a new category because it's just stupid. Not it's just not stupid. It's not necessary. If you move the dial back, I think it'll be attainable for everybody. Especially with the push for naturals and the fact that they're getting natural shows coming out and it's going to be so exciting. And I just think it'll be super cool. So again, I love bodybuilding. I want more people in it. So if this brings more people in it, I'm all for it. I think it'll be so great.
My
But I do think no pro card would be nice.
Oh yeah, no, that too. But my
Because
only
I'm busting my ass to get a pro card. I just like see this look, and then I'm like, that's gonna get a pro card, and I couldn't even go. My girlfriend was like, "Oh, why don't you dial it?" I would have to not go to the gym for like 10 years to get a fit model body at this point.
No, it's true. And I mean, my only problem with natural shows, my only one is that there are so many ways to beat drug tests these days that like it's almost
Yeah,
impossible to know where people just don't understand like, hey, if you even stop cycling at like a few weeks before some of those things disappear from your that's my only qualms with it is that like you're going to have people that test these people year round then if you want to like
yeah,
really make it fair. So as long as they do that, but like other than that, I think it's a good idea because I've always thought that there needs to be more upliftment of the natural competitors because there is a way to do it. And again, we have no problem. Either of us have no problems at people who use because it's part of the sport. And I mean, it's so frequent, but like there should be more uplifting for more of the safer ways to do it because there is unfortunately a lot of risks that go with taking all those PEDs.
yeah. I lost a lot of friends. A lot of friends having medical issues with from PDs and stuff, and I've seen it multiple times. So that's another reason I don't do it. Um, the thing that sucks about that is okay, they're going to do polygraphs, they're going to do blood work, blood tests for the winners and stuff. That's really all they can do. And I would hope that people have the integrity. And the integrity is a huge
We're
word with
talking about
this.
people here, though.
People, and they're not going to do it, but some will, some won't. But I hope people have the integrity to be like, yeah, I'm not natural. I'm not going to the natural show. Like that should just be bottom line. And I blame the coaches as well there. Like they should just not put an athlete up there knowing that they did peds. The shitty thing is that you're going to have athletes because you only have to be off peds for 3 years, that are going to go there that have done peds in the past. And it is what it is. But they're going to still have that muscle memory from doing peds, and that's just bottom line. I've talked to people like, oh, they're like, oh, only lifetime natties should go up there. How are you going to know that? So as a natural athlete who's been on stage with people who are enhanced, you just got to be like, worry about your damn self. And that's really the way I was at every show. And I know people were against me who did peds. I beat people on peds. So you got to really put your best self up there, as it's really just about you either way. The sport is very subjectable. you're it's you against you, and that's really all you need to worry about, and hope that people have integrity and don't, go on stage with peds
I will
at a
say
natural
I will
show.
say if you're on peds and you get beat by someone who's natural, maybe it's time to think about doing another sport. Because I'm sorry, it's like
1000%.
at that point you're
Because
like, what am
that's
I
not
doing here? If a
the scene.
natural person, if I'm like juiced to the gills and a natural person comes out and beats me, that's like, okay, maybe I need to stop doing this.
Yeah, and honestly, the judges know if you're enhanced and you're in a natural show. Like they just know, and they've seen you probably at a different show. Like it's a very small community. People know who was on drugs before and who's not anymore, and like there's only so much you could do. So really, again, you got to worry about yourself and just do what you can do. And yes, and if people think that they could just jump on stage with peds and go against a natural athlete and the natural athlete beats them, like they really should check themselves because I love it though. People always think that peds is the magic. It's not the magic. It's the work that you do, even if you're enhanced or not enhanced. It's the work in the gym that you do, and peds are not magic. They help, but they don't do the work. They just help you recover faster and they help you keep the lean muscle. That's really all it does. It's not making you, sometimes it makes you grow a little bit, but it's not like you have to still push yourself to the gills. So that's why I hate when I see like podcasts and they're like, oh, you're on drugs. I'm not going to listen to you. Yeah, but they're also really crazy athletes. They work hard. It's not like they're like schmoes in the gym. you know?
Absolutely. No, I see that 100 times where people are just like, yeah, you still got to put the work in. I mean, I am
You
waiting for
do.
that one magic pill that comes out that you can just, take it once and then, you're good for the rest of your. I'm waiting patiently for that to happen, but until that happens, yeah, no, it's
Oh,
not.
you mean Ozempic, the other thing that I
No,
hate?
I'm talking about something that actually puts on muscle, not something that just makes you look skinny. Jesus. Don't even get me started on Ozempic too. Jesus.
Oh, don't even get me started on Ozempic. I could do a whole another podcast on
Oh,
Ozempic.
exactly. No, so yeah. But to wrap things up, I will say, why don't you just is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to before we wrap things up?
Oh, yeah. Swole House. They're my nutrition company that sponsors me. They're awesome. They're based out of Long Island. If you ever want to try them out, they're nationwide. They're super great. And I pin them on my Instagram all the time. And yeah, that's really it. I don't have any other sponsors.
No. That's awesome. Everyone go and check those ones out.
Bev's Gym in Syosset is my home gym. Iron Sanctuary is my other gym.
Oh, Bev
Just
Francis's gym?
Yeah, Bev Francis
That's
is my
awesome.
gym. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So it's a great gym. It's an amazing facility. So if you guys ever come to Long Island, you have to check it out. Iron Sanctuary, Unique Fitness. Yeah, there's some cool gyms I work for. Crank Cycle.
Okay, that's a nice title for a gym, I will say. That's a good one.
Oh, Crank Cycle. Yeah, it's a cycle boutique. It's so cute. It's in Syosset. Not Syosset, Setauket. I'm like thinking all the S's on Long Island.
Good luck with
Did
that
my
one.
accent
Yeah.
come out yet?
Oh
It's
no,
from
it's been coming out. It's been coming out this whole time. Like I told her before we started recording, I was like, I couldn't tell you from long. But then the moment she started talking about like cars, booths, and stuff, and I'm just like, oh yeah, that's Long Island. If you would have given me another like 2 minutes, I'd be able to tell you where she was from without even doing it. Which I mean, I'm recognizable myself because it slips quite a bit. But yeah, it's fascinating about the people you talk to. But I mean, again, Ariana, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your journey with us. I mean, it was an absolute delight to talk to you, and I can't wait to see what the future has in store for you.
Thank you, Ryan. I really appreciate it. I'm so excited. Hopefully a pro card.
Oh, absolutely. No, and then we'll have you right back on to talk about that. But until then,
I
everyone go and
love
give
it.
her a follow. You'll leave a link down. I'll leave a link down below for her page, and everyone, go and give her a follow. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing off. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, guys.